The ancient Greeks knew a thing or two about suffering. They lived in a time of constant upheaval, warfare, and uncertainty. From that chaos emerged Stoicism, a philosophy that emphasized virtue, reason, and living in accordance with nature. Now you might be thinking, what does a bunch of dead Greeks have to do with me? The answer is perhaps everything. We live in an age of unprecedented technological advancement, yet anxiety and nihilism are rampant. Could it be that we've lost touch with some of the fundamental truths uncovered by the Stoics millennia ago? The Stoic principles of self-control, acceptance, and purpose offer a way out of the chaos of the modern world. By integrating these principles into our lives, we can cultivate resilience, wisdom, and ultimately achieve a sense of personal greatness. Stoicism, at its core, is about aligning yourself with the natural order of the universe. It's about recognizing that you can't control external events, but you can control your own mind and your reactions to those events. This is not a philosophy of resignation, but one of empowerment. It's about taking responsibility for your own life, for your own emotions, and choosing to act with virtue, even in the face of adversity. The Stoics believed that virtue is the sole good, and that everything else, wealth, health, even life itself, are ultimately indifferent. That's not to say these things aren't valuable, but their value should not be overestimated. True fulfillment, true eudaimonia, comes from living a virtuous life, a life lived in accordance with reason and nature. Think of it like this. Imagine your life as a ship sailing on a tumultuous sea. You can't control the waves or the wind, but you can control the ship. You can adjust your sails, man the oars, and navigate through the storm. Stoicism gives you the tools to navigate the storms of life, to weather the inevitable hardships, and emerge stronger, more resilient, more you. The first pillar of Stoicism is wisdom, the ability to discern what is within our control and what is not. We must learn to focus our energy on what we can influence, our thoughts, our actions, and to accept what we cannot. This doesn't mean becoming passive, but rather choosing our battles wisely. Imagine a dog tied to a cart. If the dog fights against the pull of the cart, it will only suffer. But if it accepts the direction and walks willingly, the journey becomes bearable. We must learn to be like the dog that chooses to walk, to accept what we cannot change and focus on what we can. The second pillar is justice, or righteousness. It's about acting with fairness, honesty, and integrity, even when no one is watching. Imagine you find a wallet filled with cash. No one would fault you for keeping it, but a Stoic would return it, not for praise or reward, but because it's the right thing to do. Justice is about aligning your actions with your principles, about being the best version of yourself, regardless of the circumstances. The third pillar, courage, isn't just about physical bravery, but also about facing our fears and anxieties head-on. It's about speaking the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, and standing up for what you believe in, even when it's difficult. Imagine you see someone being treated unfairly. It would be easier to stay silent, to look away, but courage dictates that you speak up, that you defend what is right, even if your voice trembles. And finally, temperance, the fourth pillar, emphasizes self-control and moderation. It's about resisting the allure of instant gratification and making choices that serve your long-term well-being. Imagine you have a choice between indulging in a decadent dessert or sticking to a healthy eating plan. Temperance would guide you towards the latter, not out of deprivation, but out of a commitment to your own health and vitality. Imagine your life as a vast, intricate labyrinth. Each path you choose, each decision you make, leads you further down a particular corridor. Some of these corridors are brightly lit, leading towards fulfillment and purpose. Others are dark and winding, leading towards frustration and despair. And the most fascinating part? You, my friend, are the architect of this labyrinth. You are the one who, consciously or unconsciously, designs the paths you take. Habits, you see, are the building blocks of this labyrinth. They are the grooves etched into the pathways of your life, making it easier to travel down certain routes. Some habits, like tending to a garden, lead to beauty and growth. Others, like indulging in mindless scrolling, lead to stagnation and discontent. The Stoics understood the power of habits, recognizing that our lives are merely the sum of our repeated actions. Breaking free from the chains of negative habits, however, requires more than just willpower. It requires a shift in perspective, a deep understanding of why these habits exist in the first place. You see, many of our negative habits stem from a desire to avoid discomfort, to seek instant gratification. We procrastinate on challenging tasks because we want to avoid the discomfort of effort. We indulge in unhealthy foods because they provide a momentary escape from stress. The Stoic approach to habit change is not about brute force, but about gentle, persistent redirection. It's about recognizing the triggers that lead you down those dark corridors and consciously choosing a different path. Imagine yourself standing at a fork in the road. One path leads to the familiar, the comfortable, the ultimately unfulfilling. The other path, though perhaps steeper, leads towards growth, meaning, and purpose. The first step in escaping this labyrinth of habits is awareness. Begin by simply observing your daily actions. What habits are serving you? Which ones are holding you back? Once you've identified the habits you wish to change, try to understand the underlying reasons for their existence. What void are they filling? What discomfort are they helping you avoid? Armed with this understanding, you can begin to implement Stoic practices to reshape your habits. One powerful technique is negative visualization. This involves vividly imagining the negative consequences of continuing down the path of a bad habit. For example, if you're trying to quit smoking, you might visualize yourself struggling to breathe, your body ravaged by disease. This exercise, though uncomfortable, can serve as a powerful motivator for change. Another effective Stoic practice is to focus on the present moment. Often, our negative habits stem from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. By bringing your attention to the present moment, to the simple act of breathing, of feeling your feet on the ground, you can break free from the clutches of these unhelpful thought patterns. Remember, change takes time and effort. Be patient with yourself and celebrate your small victories along the way. Each time you choose the path of growth over the path of least resistance, you're etching a new groove into the labyrinth of your life, a groove that leads towards a more fulfilling and meaningful existence. Procrastination, that insidious beast, whispers sweet nothings in our ears, promising an easier path, a delay of discomfort. But its promises are hollow, its embrace a trap. We succumb to its allure, only to find ourselves shackled by guilt, overwhelmed by the looming shadow of undone tasks. The Stoics, however, viewed procrastination as a form of voluntary madness, a self-inflicted wound that hinders our progress and steals our joy. They understood that action, not endless deliberation, is the antidote to this pervasive ailment. You see, action is the crucible in which our thoughts are tested, our values forged. It is through action that we transform intention into reality, dreams into tangible outcomes. But how do we break free from the shackles of procrastination and step boldly into the arena of action? The Stoics offer a powerful framework for overcoming this insidious foe. They teach us that the key lies not in mustering superhuman willpower, but in understanding the nature of procrastination itself. One of the primary drivers of procrastination is fear. We fear failure, judgment, or the discomfort of the task itself. This fear, though often irrational, can paralyze us, keeping us trapped in a cycle of inaction and self-reproach. The Stoic antidote to fear is simple, yet profound. Focus on what you can control. You cannot control the outcome of your efforts, but you can control the effort itself. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely said, there is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. Another culprit behind procrastination is the illusion of time. We tell ourselves, "I'll start tomorrow," or "I have plenty of time," failing to grasp the fleeting nature of this precious resource. The Stoics, however, recognize the urgency of living each day as if it were our last, for indeed it very well could be. To combat this illusion of time, the Stoics advocate for a practice called memento mori, which translates to remember death. This may seem morbid at first glance, but it is a powerful reminder of the finite nature of our existence. By contemplating our mortality, we gain a sense of urgency, a recognition that the time for action is now. But perhaps the most effective weapon in the Stoic arsenal against procrastination is the concept of amor fati, or love of fate. This doesn't mean passively accepting whatever life throws our way, but rather embracing the present moment, with all its challenges and opportunities, as an integral part of our unique journey. When we learn to love our fate, to to find meaning and purpose in the tasks before us. Procrastination loses its grip. We no longer view challenges as obstacles to be avoided, but as opportunities for growth, resilience, and self-discovery. Remember, the path to greatness is paved with action. Each step you take, no matter how small, moves you closer to your goals. So embrace the Stoic art of action, chip away at your tasks, and marvel at the transformative power of consistent effort. In an age of digital gluttony, our minds are bombarded with an endless buffet of information. Social media feeds, news alerts, and streaming services vie for our attention, leaving us feeling mentally bloated, yet strangely malnourished. We consume vast quantities of information, yet wisdom, that elusive elixir of true understanding, remains out of reach. The Stoics, however, lived in a different time, a time when information was a precious commodity, carefully curated and thoughtfully consumed. They understood that the mind, like the body, requires a healthy diet to thrive. Just as we wouldn't fuel our physical bodies with junk food, we shouldn't pollute our minds with mental junk food. The Stoic approach to information consumption is one of discernment and intentionality. They advocate for a diet rich in wisdom literature, philosophical treatises, and the timeless lessons of history. Just as a chef carefully selects the finest ingredients to craft a culinary masterpiece, we too must be discerning in the information we allow to shape our thoughts and beliefs. But it's not just about what we consume, it's also about how we consume it. The Stoics believed in the importance of focused attention, of engaging deeply with the material at hand. In our age of distraction, where multitasking has become the norm, we often skim the surface of information, failing to truly absorb its essence. Imagine yourself sitting down to a gourmet meal. You wouldn't shovel the food into your mouth without savoring the flavors, without appreciating the artistry of each bite. Similarly, when engaging with information, we must approach it with a sense of reverence, allowing ourselves to fully digest its meaning and implications. One powerful Stoic technique for cultivating focused attention is to practice regular solitude. In the silence of our own company, away from the incessant demands of the external world, we can finally hear the whispers of our own thoughts, the subtle stirrings of our own wisdom. Another essential aspect of a healthy mental diet is self-reflection. The Stoics engaged in a daily practice of examining their thoughts, emotions, and actions, identifying areas for improvement and growth. This practice of self-reflection allows us to become more aware of our own biases, our own blind spots, and to course correct when necessary. Just as a gardener tends to their plants, removing weeds and nurturing growth, we too must cultivate our minds, weeding out negativity, limiting our exposure to toxic information, and nurturing the seeds of wisdom, virtue, and compassion. Remember, the quality of your life is directly proportional to the quality of your thoughts. By curating a healthy mental diet, you nourish your mind, cultivate wisdom, and create a life of meaning, purpose, and fulfillment. In a world obsessed with acquisition, where more is always better, the Stoic concept of renunciation may seem counterintuitive, even paradoxical. Why would we willingly give up things that bring us pleasure, comfort, or status? The answer, my friends, lies in understanding the nature of true freedom. You see, the pursuit of external validation, of material possessions, of fleeting pleasures, is a never-ending treadmill. We chase after these things, believing they hold the key to happiness, only to find ourselves trapped in a cycle of desire and dissatisfaction. True freedom, the Stoics argue, lies not in having more, but in desiring less. Think of it like this. Every desire you have, every attachment you cling to, is a string that binds you. The more strings you accumulate, the more entangled you become, your movements restricted, your choices limited. Renunciation, then, is the act of cutting these strings, freeing yourself from the weight of unnecessary desires. But how do we determine which desires to renounce? The Stoics offer a simple, yet profound litmus test. Does this desire serve my highest good? Does it align with my values, with my purpose? Or is it simply a distraction, a fleeting pleasure that ultimately leads to more suffering? This process of discernment requires honesty, courage, and a willingness to confront our own shadow selves. It's about recognizing that sometimes the things we think we want are actually holding us back from experiencing true joy and fulfillment. One of the most powerful forms of renunciation is the practice of voluntary discomfort. This involves intentionally exposing ourselves to discomfort, whether it be cold showers, fasting, or engaging in challenging tasks. By doing so, we build resilience, strengthen our willpower, and learn to detach from our dependence on comfort and ease. Another important aspect of renunciation is the practice of gratitude. When we focus on what we have, rather than what we lack, we cultivate a sense of contentment, a deep appreciation for the abundance that already exists in our lives. Remember, renunciation is not about deprivation, but about liberation. It's about freeing ourselves from the chains of desire, the tyranny of the unnecessary, so that we can focus on what truly matters, living a life of virtue, purpose, and meaning. The Stoic path isn't about seeking an easy life, but a meaningful one. It's about confronting the chaos of existence with courage, wisdom, and an unwavering commitment to virtue. It's a path that demands discipline, self-awareness, and a relentless pursuit of self-mastery. But the rewards, as the Stoics understood, are immeasurable. By embracing these principles, we step into our full potential, not as passive recipients of fate, but as active participants in the unfolding drama of our lives. We become, in the words of Marcus Aurelius, a force of nature, capable of weathering any storm, overcoming any obstacle, and leaving an indelible mark on the world. Choose to embrace the Stoic path. Choose to claim your birthright of greatness.